Okay, guys, so hi everybody, and welcome to this discussion of Star Wars, episode 1 to, 6. And yeah, going into this anticipation for the movie, we both are going to see this tomorrow. So with me, joining me, of course, is Sammy from Falagar 517.
Greetings.
Greetings, Sammy. And of course, me, Gadget Reviews here to discuss those awesome, movies, saga, whatever you want to call it. So yes, Sammy, do you
All
want
right.
to start? And
Just
if you have something like an idea.
all I have to showcase is this bootleg. I have the VHS, the official VHS transfers, a limited edition of where before they altered them. It came out maybe about 10 years ago, something like that. And I have the complete saga Blu-ray right there. I do not have the steelbooks because those are really just repacks of that. What we want is the original trilogy. This is, like I said, the bootlegs of the original, and then I have the official limited edition of the original, but they're just VHS or Laserdisc transfers, really. But what we want are the original uncut ones to come out on Blu-ray. But yes, the Star Wars saga, like Gary said, we're both very, very excited for The Force Awakens, which comes out tomorrow.
Officially.
Checking it out with my uncle, as early as I can, maybe like 9, 10 o'clock showing. If there's earlier, I'll go, but I doubt that. It's probably 9 o'clock might be the earliest.
You mean in the morning?
In the morning.
Oh, okay. So that means you're going to see the movie maybe around the same time that I'm going to see it.
Really? Okay, so that's fantastic. We'll be seeing this at the same time.
Well, we have to calculate that actually, but yeah.
Hell yeah, And there might not be time for us to do any kind of review afterwards. Hence why we're doing this here. But if something does happen tomorrow, even for a little bit, that's cool too. Okay, but
well, I'm going to be home pretty late, so.
No, then we'll save it for another time. But we can at least talk about it on our chat, on
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah, of course we can after we've seen the movie.
Of course.
We can talk spoilers.
No, yeah, of course, yeah. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you, for letting me be a part of this and, being on a hangout with you. It's always a pleasure, always an honor, Gary.
No, Sammy, thank you.
Thanks.
It's always a pleasure for me, of course. We do some awesome hangouts, at least I think so.
Oh, I agree. Okay, so...
All right, yeah, Sammy, so do you want to start with talking about the original movies or the prequels? What do you like about the original movies?
Okay.
And all that.
Do you want to go backwards then? We'll go from, I guess, backwards chronologically, like story-wise, where starting with the original trilogy.
Oh, we have
going back to the prequels, or should we start with the... We'll do that. We'll go with the original. We'll start off with the originals, then talk about the prequels, and with both, the originals and the prequels, what we like, what we don't like. There's really nothing about the original trilogy that I do not like. There are things, of course, with the prequels that I don't like. But with the original trilogy, my favorite one, well, first of all, when Star Wars was not known as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, it was just Star Wars. I think really, I can't really remember, but what I think it was, I think George Lucas intended it to be a trilogy, but he made it in a way that Star Wars can be watched and seen as a standalone film. Like if you just saw Star Wars and there were never any other movies afterwards, you could have just been happy with this. So that was cool. The lightsaber fight sequence with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader at the end, to me, was very, very weak. But I love the whole setup of the story.
I second that.
Wasn't it piss poor? That was just terrible.
It was like two pieces of wood trying to stick together.
Exactly.
Like
it's just
something
so
like this, yeah. But I understand because it's a very, very, very old movie, and George Lucas still didn't know what he's doing exactly, and everyone said that this movie will suck and no one will watch this, and what the hell is this, because it was totally new and original. So he had to figure things out. So I understand.
Yeah, that is true. And plus, like you said, it's kind of like a product of its time. What was it, like 1977? So it wasn't
So
really, even though it was inspired, I believe heavily inspired by Akira. What is his name? Oh, no, I'm real bad with these names, but Akira Kurosawa, I think. Akira Kurosawa, this guy, who did the Seven Samurai. Akira Kurosawa. Okay, he also did Kazumusha, but it was the Seven Samurai that kind of inspired George Lucas, to the creation of the whole lore with the Jedi, the Sith. Um,
also the
but
Nazis, I've heard. Also the Nazis.
the
That's how
Nazi,
I heard.
of course, right, with the German Nazis, with the Empire, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and but yeah, so that's the reason why it was before they came up with like really excellent, choreography. I have to say though, with we'll get to the prequels later, but the choreography, in that was outstanding. I thought, but here's the thing though, starting with Empire, I thought that had one of the absolute best, lightsaber fight sequences ever with Luke and Vader for the first time when they fought, and then of course you have that whole revelation at the end,
Yeah.
and and Jedi, that was still a cool fight, lightsaber battle with Vader and Luke Skywalker, of course, and the Emperor, of course, kind of instigating the whole thing and trying to influence, Luke, that good now,
Yeah, he's
kill
like a
him and take
snake.
your father's place by my side. Yeah, that whole thing is just fantastic. What were your favorite bits about the original trilogy, encompassing everything: Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Jedi?
Well, first of all, I have to say that since we've mentioned before, actually, I've mentioned that I didn't remember exactly the original movies. I have no idea if I even watched them throughout. But these days, I made my goal, you can say, to watch all the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I even started watching the prequels, but I'm up to episode 2 right now, so I'm almost done. You can say watching everything. So the first movies for me were always very strange thing. Like I didn't get them very well. Now, when I saw, like, starting with episode 4, of course, I still didn't get some things. Like, there's some missing stuff
Mm.
in the storytelling, how the story was
Mm.
told.
Really?
You know how the droids, I mean, C-3PO and R2-D2 left the ship, and the soldiers were like, oh, there's no life forms on there, so leave that ship. And after that, the soldiers, I mean, they sent soldiers to kill Anakin's, foster parents. I mean, those guys that were replacing his parents.
Mm-hmm. And Anakin or
And Luke,
Luke?
Luke.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
talking about episode 4.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, why and how they found, I mean, Luke's, adoptive parents? Why did they kill them? I just didn't get that part for some reason.
Let me
It was
think.
kind of like they were supposed to tell us more details, but they just showed us those things. And Luke was like, "Oh, I'm not. Oh, I'm going to go with you now, Obi-Wan." And he wasn't even impacted from their death so much. He was just looking and staring, and that was that. He didn't react almost in any way when they were dead and like fried, made skeletons and all
Mm.
this. So I didn't connect it emotionally with anything. More likely, I connected with C-3PO and R2-D2.
Really? I
Yeah,
connected very strongly with Vader. I'm sorry, forgive me. I almost called him. I almost, referred to him not proper. Lord Vader. Okay, truly, Lord Vader. I really gravitate towards Lord Vader and my Emperor Palpatine. I say that, yeah.
But no, I mean, starting from the beginning of the movie, I mean, I didn't quite connect with anything because I was feeling that we are missing pieces of the story and how things connected logically, why this is happening, why that's happening. Especially that I mentioned. I mean, they killed those, Luke's parents.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. Did they specifically say kill the parents, or just maybe they were just killing everyone that was around that area? Did they mention that prior to doing that? Kill the parents, or do you remember? Because you've seen it more recently. Even though I've seen it like a lot of times, I don't recall.
Yeah, I mean that they kind of decided to not track the droids when they were leaving the ship where Princess Leia was held. I mean, they captured Princess Leia. Darth Vader personally captured her, and after this, the droids landed on that planet where Luke was.
Okay.
Tatooine, yeah. And then all of a sudden, Luke saw the message from Princess Leia that R2-D2 was carrying, and he wanted to find Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was referred to as Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
And then he went into the desert. Some creatures attacked him.
People. Yeah.
And of course, Obi-Wan found him.
Yeah.
And after this, a little bit after this, he went to his adoptive parents, I think. And after this, they sent, the Imperials, Darth Vader's people sent people on Tatooine. They tracked the droids, and all of a sudden, they killed his parents. Something like this.
I see. So it wasn't a specific order to do it. Maybe they never really went into detail about it. It could just be they were trying to question them, and since they didn't get the answer they needed, they probably killed them or tortured them,
Yeah, but my point is that at least I wish to see something that was leading to this, why this happened exactly. It was super convenient for Luke just to be like, oh, nothing's holding me back. Now I will go with you, Obi-Wan, because this is literally what happened. And
I think Obi-Wan kind of explained that too, and it's like a theme that carries out throughout, that kind of resonates throughout the whole saga, is kind of like the Force works in mysterious ways, so to speak. You know what I mean? Where there are coincidences and stuff like that, where there really is no such thing as coincidences, and
there's
that type of thing is what they're trying to drive at with the Force. That's the Force kind of guides you, and just like kind of like a fate type of thing, and it holds true with their powers. They can kind of foresee the future, for one. I'll give you one example. In episode 2, Attack of the Clones, a part where those millipede creatures were trying to kill Padme in her sleep when they were on Coruscant.
I know. I just watched that actually just before I wrote to you. I was just to that part of the movie. And Anakin and Obi-Wan sense that some creatures are crawling into her bed and they enter her room.
But not only that, there's a part when Obi-Wan jumps through the window, no fear, hangs onto the thing, and there's a part where I can't remember exactly what it was. Anakin or you know what? It was later, a little bit later during that chase, when Anakin and Obi-Wan are on a speeder, and I think it was Anakin that said, "Okay, I'll be back, Master," and he jumps off from his thing and falls and lands on the other guy's speeder from like high, because they could sense it. It's all like part of the fate thing and part of the like foreseeing, the foresight of where they're going to land. It's all part of the Force. The Force guides them to where they need to go. Just like in the original Star Wars, how could I not use this as a primary example? When the blast shield thing, where he said turn off, when Obi-Wan was speaking to him through the Force, telling him to shut off all the thing and trust in the Force. So he just sort of turned off his guiding system off and goes, hey, you have your sensors are off, and he just did it through the Force and shot the torpedo right through that little opening of the Death Star, which blew it up. This is the first Star Wars. So he trusted in the Force, just like now when he was
Yeah.
training, put down the blast shield. So he puts it down. But with the blast shield down, how am I supposed to use your feelings, all that crap? So I
Yeah.
think
No,
that's what all that
it's
is.
yeah. I know what you're talking about, Sammy, but here it was the case just of not explaining stuff very well. I think because I
Hmm.
know how the Force and all that works, but how the hell they decided just to kill exactly those guys? Luke's,
Again,
adoptive parents, and it was so convenient for him because he was ready to go and be with Obi-Wan because his adoptive dad didn't want Luke to do anything. He wanted just to be like a farm
farm.
boy and
Yeah,
yeah, so boring as hell. Not allow him to say or do anything that he wants really, and he was like a child. He was like, "Oh boy."
yeah. I know that's such the acting is, but it was hilarious. It's classic now, not like Jake Lloyd is just annoying as hell. But yeah, oh, but I was about to go into town to get some more power converters.
Yeah,
The way he talks is
exactly.
like a whiny kid. Yet, aren't you a little
Yeah.
bit too old to be whiny like that? I don't know. I still like to
Yeah.
think to believe that the reason why all that happened, the convenience of it, because how does any movie start off? Like, um, you take any other movie and there's always like something to set up the story. Sometimes it's just coincidence, and it just so happens that there doesn't necessarily have to be an answer to that. I'm just trying to think of what other movie is
Mm,
kind of like that. I guess, like, for example, in The Wrath of Khan, the original Star Trek with Jim Kirk, when I think his name is Krug, played by Christopher Lloyd, kills one of the hostages down on the planet, which was Sarek, David, which is his son, and the Vulcan boy Spock. And he was about to kill Sarek, but then David intervenes, which is Kirk's son, and stops him and kills Kirk's son, and it drove Kirk into almost like a rage thing and this prejudice and hatred towards the Klingons, and hence why did that happen? Kind of like a fate thing. So that's what kind of compelled them to, made him a bit stronger. I like to think. So it's that sort of thing. It happens. You never know. I mean, when I was driving my car once, and this is a true story, maybe about 10 years ago, my brakes gave out, because an old woman pulled right in front of me on the right turn lane, so I had to swerve, but I couldn't necessarily go into the left lane, so I had to be right in the middle of the both left and right lane, and I just slammed my brakes, and my brakes like just gave out, and I slid right down the road in between all these cars, and I didn't hit a single one of them.
oh, that
So
was awesome.
just so happens. You see what I mean? So things like that can happen.
Yeah, of course. I'm not born yesterday, but yeah, just when you're watching a movie, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like, what just happened? Why, what?
Ah,
Ah, something like this because I'm not used to this. I'm
really?
not.
Okay.
I'm not really used to it. I'm used to it. Everything to make some kind of sense. And
I
this in the first movie didn't make any sense to me, much sense to me. If I can give it to a coincidence, it's like two, both serving the kind of thing. And these days, when something is serving the plot in some ways, everyone are like, "Oh my gosh, this is serving the plot," and they're so critical. But when it comes to Star Wars, just because it's Star Wars, everyone are like, "No, this is a perfect movie. This is a perfect movie."
yeah,
Everyone are like oblivious.
I
Uh,
got
and I'm a fan to a point, but not like fanatic,
I got you.
type of
Yeah,
thing.
I'm not a super fanatic either. I'm a big fan, probably much like yourself, but there are fanatics that actually know the whole schematic of the layout of the Millennium Falcon and like the Death Star, and they know where everything. You ever see Galaxy Quest? They kind of make fun of those kind of nerdy fans that know everything about everything about a series like Star Trek, Star Wars. I don't know all
Yeah.
about.
When you're a fan of something, you will do that. I mean, if I'm a really, really fan of something, like I'm
Mm.
Xenos, I do know everything that there is to know. Because I love it so much, because I have a reason to connect with this character, with the story. Everything makes sense. Everything is, you know, uh, has a lot of layers to it. To Xena, to every character, to every story, to every episode. There's a million like layers to everything, and
Gotcha.
you connect with this, and it's in you forever. And many people found that same thing in Star Wars, but for me, there's nothing that I can find, that deep in Star Wars. For some reason, I can't. I can't connect to the
Let
story
me
like
ask you
this.
this before. Okay, so before the prequels and stuff like that, you never, when you watched the original Star Wars, was that really like your first time watching them?
Maybe I don't remember because I have some memory of it when I was a child, but
Darn.
after that, nothing. And then I was introduced to the prequels,
Mm-hmm.
so they're a lot more clear for me in every way. And I
That
get now, seeing the original movies, why fans hate the prequels, but I'm used to them,
I
you can
got you. See,
say.
that's the thing I was trying to get at too was, and do you feel as if, well, they'll see it won't really be all that fair, but do you feel as if it's just, if you watch the original Star Wars, the original trilogy without the prequels, you had all those questions that you didn't quite get. Do you feel as if the prequels kind of answered those? They did a satisfactory job of answering what questions you had about the original trilogy? Do you know what I mean?
No, not in any way, because the prequels are the prequels. They're the story before what happened in the
Okay.
original trilogy. So uh, that doesn't explain. I mean, what
It doesn't
happened.
explain anything.
It doesn't explain why those parents were, killed
Murdered.
all of a
Nice.
sudden, how they found them and all that. Because Luke was anonymous. Nobody knows, even if he's alive, who he is and all that. And all of a sudden, conveniently, his foster parents are killed and all that. So yeah, but enough about this. I mean, Star Wars has a lot of things to discuss. I'm just saying that first thing that I just didn't feel it at all.
I got you.
Yeah, and what else? Oh yeah, the next thing is actually Princess Leia
Okay.
when she tried to shoot the stormtroopers the first time. She was like with the blaster, like pew one time, and then she, she was
Yeah,
running
she's
to the
running at the
yeah,
beginning, right? And the
yeah,
custodianship. And
yeah,
then she got blasted.
yeah. She of course got blasted with the stun blast, and that was ridiculous. I mean, if you're that strong woman that you're supposed to be,
Yeah.
you like start shooting at them until you see everyone fall down on
Oh,
the floor. I mean, shoot
I
till
agree.
you can. I mean,
I agree. As much as I love the originals trilogy, there were some goofiness with it. Like, and of course, there's a whole joke about you shoot like a stormtrooper. The stormtroopers have terrible, terrible aim. But yeah, she's
yeah,
supposed to be this strong girl. I have to say, in the prequel's defense, that I think Padme showcased being what a strong, female lead in a sci-fi film kind of should be. Like, wouldn't you say? I thought
yeah,
Padme did a far better job of showcasing how strong a female heroine can be.
yeah. I totally love Padme since I was little.
Mm,
Totally love her. Although she was also manipulated by the counselor, Palpatine,
of
which
course,
which
yeah.
sucked. But he fooled everybody. I mean, not only her.
Not just her, right? He
Yeah,
did a fine job, and I think the dark side of the Force really mask his true intention. Mask it. What the hell? I'm coming up with words. Uh,
yeah.
what I think too is like maybe they really made Padme stand out and be really really strong because it's something that maybe I could be wrong, but in my personal opinion, they weren't really able to showcase that as well with Princess Leia being that tough. So they really did that, and kind of made up for that in terms of showing how tough, a female heroine can be in a film. She, with Leia, she was, she kind of had this attitude, and I know I understand they try to make her tough, and she was tough to a certain extent, but they didn't showcase that very well, and she came off like really, I don't want to say whiny, but like almost borderline whiny. Do you know what I mean? Like how she's kind of complaining about, like, especially with the whole Han Solo thing, and do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, she was very critical of him,
Critical.
but she was right to be, because he was kind of an ass.
He was kind of an ass.
Yeah, honestly, he was.
You didn't like that, huh?
um,
You didn't
I
get turned on
don't
by
know.
you didn't get turned on by Han Solo. He wasn't.
No.
He didn't do it for you. Oh, Jesus.
No. He's not my type at
He's
all.
not your type. Okay, I got you.
At all. I mean, he's like cool and all that,
He's
but
cool.
at the same time, he's like an ass
He's an ass.
with no good reason to be
He's a cool ass, huh?
an ass. He just is. And then, and that's also the other thing. Like, he was this character, like shoot before, ask questions later, and all that. And then at the end of the movie, he was like at Luke, saying at Luke, to Luke, I mean, I'm not going to help. I want my money and all that. And after this, he is right into the action helping, without no explanation. He just decided to do that without anything at all leading to this. He just decided to do that, and I'm grateful that he did. But it's just like all of a sudden this is happening now. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen? I think you have seen. You've seen Anastasia.
Oh yeah, my
This
number
guy,
one.
Dimitri.
Yeah.
Okay, at the end, when he didn't want to accept the money for finding the true daughter, said, "You saved my daughter's life. You restored her to me and all this, and yet you don't want the money. Why the change of mind?" And what did Dimitri say? It was more of a change of heart.
I don't know. In Anastasia, his character was more well developed, I think, and you can see the dilemma that he is struggling with. He started with the money and all that. He wanted to take the reward, but after this, he got to know Anastasia really well, and you can see throughout that he is falling in love. When in Star Wars, there's really not such thing. I mean, Han Solo was an ass the whole time. And although he helped, he always said that he is doing this for selfish reasons. He reminded us of this several times. And then after this, he's immediately into the battle. It's not the same. It's more subtle. It's not that well developed.
I completely hear you. And here you see the subtle changes with Dimitri and Anastasia, with their, the friendship kind of growing and falling in love. Whereas, with all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere. Now, I can understand if we're dealing with a psychopath. Psychos, they don't think straight. Sometimes 1 minute they can be like this, and the next thing you know, they're going to kill you. Like a psychopath. Just take a look at Scream, right? You don't know what's going through the head, but Han Solo is clearly not a psychopath. He is, as you put it, just like an ass. And throughout the whole film, he just was like that, basically throughout the film. And then just all of a sudden, I understand, completely out of nowhere, he just appears. I have no answer to that.
Yeah, and never mentioned anything of that nature again. He was like sitting on the podium, on the stage that they were set at the end of episode 4 with the medal, and just smiling. He's like always been a hero, and
right. That would be another thing. Maybe it didn't showcase as he's on the ship. This probably could have been happening. Maybe sometimes, a guy like that, maybe he's masking his true feelings inside. Maybe deep down, you almost see it. And, come to think of it, in Empire, especially in Jedi, you kind of see almost like his insides coming out, his true self, like the whole facade of being this rogue kind of smuggler is just kind of like a front, but deep down inside, he truly does have a kind heart, and, you kind of see to it when he, especially like I said, the third one, you can tell Luke, but you can't tell me. He's like really opening up with Leia and falling in love with her and everything. And it may have started off being like kind of like an ass, but I think the ass part is more like a front. But deep down inside, he's really a kind guy, and you see it. But who knows? Maybe at the end of Star Wars, near the end, when he changed his mind, maybe he's on his Millennium Falcon with Chewie, and he's thinking to himself as he's flying away, "Oh my God, you know what? I feel real bad. But you know what? Hey, I could be a hero, and they'll recognize me, and no one will mess with me, and I can get some kind of reward. May as well do it, eh?" So he turns his ship around and he goes back and then he does his thing. Hence why he's got that big old smile on his face as he's being awarded. So now he's got the fame, and he's got some friends that maybe he can really open up to. You can also look at it that way.
No, I can't. Because this isn't in the movie. We can't just finish off the movie like we want it to be, where it's not, This doesn't exist. We can only imagine it, but it's not there. And also, the next issue is with him and Leia.
Okay.
Their relationship is like out of nowhere once again, because he's an ass and she hates him. And I actually know this kind of relationship. It happens to me actually before. I mean, a guy that you don't like. I mean, you see that he's very attractive to say.
Okay, like a bad boy.
Yeah, a bad boy, and he's irritating you all the time, and he
Spike and Buffy.
I don't remember that relationship very well, so I can't talk about it.
Okay.
But yeah, he irritates you all the time, purposely so. And then all of a sudden you start to like him for some reason. And yeah, and things happen after this. But in the movie, this was similar, but it was kind of quick. And he also didn't like her. I mean, it was different because he also was frustrated with her as well. So I don't know. It felt rushed to me. It didn't feel very natural. It was natural when he was pressing her next to the wall and how they talked, and that was natural. But the whole leading up to this wasn't.
My hands are dirty too. What are you afraid of? That whole scene, right? And then they're about to kiss, and then of course C3PO.
C3PO, interrupts the
scene. What eludes him? But here's the thing: you've heard the saying, "Opposites attract."
Oh, I was just going to say that, Sammy, but opposites attract only for a time being, and after this, you start fighting, and everything is over. So that is just very brief chemistry, and doesn't. It's not worth it, really. Yeah, I can say from a personal experience, it's really not worth it at all. It's just very brief thing. You have to find somebody that you're like, like twins almost, so you can have everything. You have to like everything all the same. You have to think the same, so you can not have fights and all that. And
you were absolutely right. Now, in retrospect, now that I think about it, I'm not going to bring up Fawn, because everything was cool with Fawn until, I won't get into that, but I'll bring up Antonella, and I brought up this story before. She started off kind of cool, being like, talking about films and stuff like that, but it turned out like she was completely different from me, so, it was kind of cool, and I was different from her, so kind of like she was almost like, she really is like a bad kind of girl. Okay, she was insane. So we kind of went together, but then after a time, I couldn't stand being with her. You know what I mean? So I just stopped associating with her and stopped hanging out with her. And so I know what you mean. So at the beginning, it's like the opposites attract type thing, but they're not for long.
Are you talking about your girlfriend, your previous girlfriend, or?
Yeah, well, kind of like girlfriend, non-girlfriend, you might want to say. Yeah. Antonella, which is this. It's right over here. There we go. I don't know if you can make that out.
No.
Got her number.
No need to show that, Sammy.
I won't show the number, but yeah.
Please.
We won't let personal stuff get in there. But yeah, my point is, I see exactly what you mean. I guess you said like kind of like a similar thing happened to you, and it kind of happened to me, that type of thing. But for me, it's like a bad girl type thing. And but yeah, so I see what you mean.
Yeah, but that was very good experience for me, because from that point on, I was like, never. I mean, that never will happen again.
Wow.
I'm totally disgusted by all this, because it's so not worth it. It's so not worth it, really. It just at the beginning, and then it's like a flame that's it burst into flames, and then.
So it burns fast, and when it burns good, but then it burns down fast, and it's all gone.
Yeah, because when you have almost nothing in common with that person and just some parts of his, character and appearance only attracts you,
Mm,
that's
good.
absolutely not enough for anything.
I gotcha. Understood. Understood.
Yeah, but in the case of Han and Leia, my only problem is how everything was leading up to this kiss and how they establish that they are now together. That is my problem. Other than that, they are a very good match for each other.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, because they're not actually opposites. They're actually not. They're very, very, you can say similar inside in a way, and at the same time, they complete each other. Literally,
Gotcha. Two
figuratively.
sides of the same, two sides of the same coin, different sides of the same coin. You take the
Yeah.
coin, you got the heads and tails.
Yeah,
One's heads, one's
so
tails.
that's about them. Now that lightsaber fight with
Yes.
Darth
Okay.
Vader,
Let's move on with that.
absolutely ridiculous, as we said.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I didn't get why Obi-Wan sacrificed himself. He was like, if you kill me, I will become more powerful than you can ever imagine. And he just let Darth Vader, strike him down, and he disappeared. No body, no anything.
Yes.
And,
Now
and, and then he was just dead. So
that
how how exactly he became more powerful? I just don't get it.
yeah. Here's the thing. That is like a philosophical thing, and I was. This is why I think it's all. Forgive me for saying this, but it is kind of like bullshit. I mean, the whole force thing. Okay, that's fine. To me, and this is why. And don't consider me insane. And I'm not a bad man, but I always enjoyed the Sith more, even before they were known as the Sith, when they were just the dark side and the Jedi. To me, the Jedi seems like they're full of double talk and bullshit versus the Sith. They're just straightforward, all about power. And even though as evil and corrupt as they may be, like Nazi-like, there was really almost no double talk. There's just straight out like they'll lie to you in a way to kind of get you on their side. But what it all comes down to is power. With the Jedi, the try or do or do not. There is no try. That kind of stuff. Only what you care. Come on, shut up, Yoda. Please. I mean,
Yeah, but they're kind of always right. I mean, the Jedi, they were actually right for Anakin when they didn't want that other master, Qui-Gon Jim,
mm-hmm.
take him as a young Padawan and teach him. They knew that something is wrong with him.
And yet they
They
still
thought
took
that,
him.
yeah, because
And yet they still
Anakin
took
kind
him.
of proved himself, his abilities. He destroyed that evil base at episode 1. So all by himself, basically. So convenience once again, so he can be a Jedi and all this.
Yes,
But also, bad thing is when you're a Sith, you can die any moment from your fellows.
from your
Uh,
phone. Yes, as is
so,
apparent in the Knights of the Old, or isn't it Knights or just the Old Republic? MMO. When you saw those trailers for it, how he turns on his master. You know what I mean? The apprentice turns on the master. That is the bad thing. That is true. But you know what? It's cool. Okay, it's absolutely badass. Whereas, okay, getting back with the what? If you strike me down, I will become more powerful. What is that? Yeah, I completely agree. You become a ghost. How are you helping friggin' Luke when you disappear all the time? You disappear, give cryptic messages. You want to help him in a fight. You help him more if you don't die, because then you can stand with him, learn to fight better. First of all, I mean, come on. Look at Count Dooku. See, he's an old guy, but he fought. But then again, that's due to the choreographer, not the. But you notice how the lightsaber battles got better from Star Wars to Empire. It got a lot better.
yeah, done better. Yeah, a lot better.
A lot better.
Definitely, a lot
It
better. Yeah.
had like ninja action and stuff like that, and the flipping and
Not
stuff like that.
quite. Not quite. I mean, the flipping is only in the prequels. Uh, there is
Well,
like too much, but it's very precise and very cool.
right. The prequels had really cool fight sequences, but I'm talking about when compared to the original, Star Wars, the first one, versus just, it's light years better in my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, episode 5 and 6 were already a lot better in terms of fight sequences with the lightsabers.
There you go.
Compared to that stupid fight with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in episode 4.
Yes, absolutely.
So for sure, but you know what? I just thought of that. If Obi-Wan helped Luke literally, like with the Force, Luke will never learn. So this is not.
Obi-Wan killed Luke, or you mean Obi-Wan killed Vader?
No, yeah. What did I say? I mean, what?
Obi-Wan killed Luke. Is what you said.
No. I mean, when Obi-Wan died and he was a ghost, because you said, why don't he help Luke with the Force or something? He can't interfere physically with the Force because that way Luke won't learn anything. He has to become his own Jedi with his own power. He has to master his abilities, how to use the Force, how to control his feelings, his emotions. So he can't interfere. I mean, Obi-Wan can't interfere in any way. Just give him an advice. And actually, he did the same job alive as he did when he was dead. Absolutely the same job. I mean, he didn't do any more or less.
He could have just blocked or done something to push him back and then run away. Instead of just, what is this? And then you just see, and then it. What are you doing?
He's made of dust or something from air.
He's gone, and you saw what happened with Yoda at the end of Return of the Jedi. He just kind of
disappeared.
He just vanished. When 900 years you be. Look as good you will not.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, what he said. Well, there is in mythology and in some scientists, science you can say, spiritual science actually, that says that when you reach a certain level of higher mind and being, just when you're dying, your body will no longer disintegrate slowly and yucky and all that, but instead it's going to be like dust and disappear. So and this is something not that some movie came up with this is from some spiritual science, let's say, that almost no one knows about, but that's other topic that we have to speak about with Angel when I have a time and I am not so tired.
That would be an interesting topic, but I can see that. So Lucas maybe took aspects from different things, not just Akira Kurosawa with the Seven Samurai, but things like that, like what you mentioned with the disappearing of the body and going into whatever, and then the ghost. Not a bad thing, but I mean, so maybe a lot of it is rooted in mythology that we have in the real world, you know what I mean, as well as the story of Akira Kurosawa,
I am not familiar with that, Sammy, but I just remember that Qui-Gon, when he was killed by that Darth Maul, he didn't disappear right away. Actually, he wasn't dead for quite a while, and after Obi-Wan killed Darth Maul, then he died, then Qui-Gon died, and then he disappeared. Okay, so it's fine. Yeah.
Because you said something, when you just speak to someone who learned a way to transcend through the Force as a ghost or whatever. Remember at the end, it was, who's the one who told him? Not Yoda. Was it Yoda? It was someone that was talking to Obi-Wan, the younger Obi-Wan, telling him, he said, you mean Qui-Gon? I think it was at the end of episode 3.
Episode 3. I think it was Yoda, but I'm not sure because I'm not still to that episode. Hopefully I'm going to watch everything tomorrow. I mean, the rest of episode 2 and 3, so I can remember those things.
Well, what I'm going to watch, because I'm seeing it tomorrow, I'm not, because I don't have to really see the prequel. I'm just going to start with Jedi and just watch that, before I have to, that is enough to prepare me because it's the finale, it's the end. I remember very well with Empire and the first Star Wars, and hoping with which is in Grand Moff Tarkin. If you have another target, a military target, then give me the coordinates. And so you are far too trusting. You may fire that when ready. What? Oh, and that didn't say you are far too trusting. And he blew up Alderaan. That's what it's called. Which, speaking of which, Alderaan is a name of a city or a town in Morrowind, The Elder Scrolls 3, and they named it specifically because of Alderaan. So just thought I'd get that out there.
Oh, you know what, Sammy? Actually, you don't need to see. Of course, you don't need to see the prequels before you watch the new movie, because the new movie is going to be just continuation of the story since the last, episode 6, of course. So the prequels will be totally forgotten after this episode of Star Wars Episode 7. But I just want to see them for my own, personal pleasure in a way, and just to remember. I like to be knowledgeable enough so I can compare things and talk about them. So that's why I'm seeing everything, and I kind of have a nostalgia for the prequels, believe it or not.
Yeah, well, of course the prequels. Honestly, it's your generation, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The original was mine. The first Star Wars film I ever saw was Return of the Jedi, and it was in the Philippines. In the Philippines, in a Filipino theater. And then, of course, I think I may have seen Star Wars and Empire, when it was on, not TV, but like rented or at a, friend's house or something like that, or my parents' friend's house. But the first one I ever saw in theaters, let me correct myself, in theaters was Return of the Jedi. And that made me cry at the end with the father. I'm not going to leave you, Father.
Yeah.
Take my mask off, but you'll die without it. Nothing can stop that now. For once, I just want to see you with my own eyes. Tell your sister you were right. He's got the egg head. He's bald, no hair. And then
that was disgusting.
I'm watching this as a kid. I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ! It was so. What can I say?
Although, I never liked how Darth Vader looked, but understandably so, because he was burned and all this.
Yes.
But it was always kind of strange to me why the focus was, only on Luke, and like Leia wasn't even there. He found out that Darth Vader found out that Luke had a sister, and he immediately connected the dots, of course, that is his daughter. He sensed that when he fought Luke.
Yeah. Three sisters, so you have a sister. If you not turn, then if you will not turn to the dark side, she will.
She will. But she was kind of left behind in terms of the main story. Everything was about Luke, like he was an only child when he wasn't.
He's an only child.
I know that Leia had her own story, but it wasn't even half as special as the Luke story. And I think she deserves to be a Jedi, and she's supposed to be a Jedi. She also has the Force.
Exactly.
So
I'm hoping for this one with Force Awakens, hopefully she'll wield a lightsaber. We get to see a little bit of fight. Maybe she learned. Who knows?
No, I doubt that. I would love to see it. That's she's not General Leia. At least we know that. She's not Princess Leia. She's General now. So I can imagine her like being.
She's old, but that's no excuse because look at Count Dooku. Look at Obi-Wan. They're old as hell, and my powers doubled. Well, my powers doubled since we last met, Count. Good. Twice the pride, double the fall. You have hate. Well, I sense great fear in you, Skywalker. You have hate. You have anger, but you don't use them. Oh, freaking fantastic. Good, Anakin. Good.
Oh, being
Kill
so
him.
creepy and disgusting.
It's not the Jedi way. Do it. I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way. He was too powerful, too. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, actually, my most favorite episode is still episode 3. I just love that transformation from.
I love that one.
to Anakin to Darth Vader and how he became Darth Vader. It was so ridiculous because he wanted to save Padme, and that's why he became Darth Vader. And
There you
actually,
go.
that's why she died. So he killed her.
There you go. Okay, I see what you mean. How he killed her when Padme. Where's Padme? Oh, I'm afraid that in your anger you killed her. What? No, but she was still alive when.
Yeah.
No! And then what does the Emperor do? He got a big old smile on his face. It's like,
Yeah.
he's happy about that. But I gotta say, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, Sith. When it comes to the prequels, my all-time favorite though is we have to be Empire, quickly followed by Sith, and that's my personal opinion for mixing the whole saga. I'm always for the original trilogy, of course, but when we're talking about the whole saga in order of that, if we're taking those into account, the only one that makes it is Sith. Right after Empire Strikes Back, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. The whole revelation with the father, no, Luke, no, I am your father. He never says, no, Luke, I am your father. He just says, no, I am your father. Together we will rule the Empire as father and son. Okay, but there's that. And then in the whole lightsaber fight sequence, the whole thing at the end when Vader doesn't even use his saber, he's just whipping things at him. What is this? This is 7 days. I don't want to renew that. Everything is whipping and flying at Luke and hitting him. He doesn't even have to use his saber anymore. That was fantastic. And the whole lightsaber fight sequence, easy or much too easy. Impressive. Most impressive. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I like that.
And then immediately followed by Sith for all those reasons, as you said.
Yeah. Also, although on that dying, the reason that Padme died is kind of ridiculous. She died because she was desperate. Not desperate.
She died of a broken heart or something.
Yeah, broken heart. Yeah, she was so sad that Anakin turned evil and killed kids, and of course, this will cause a lot of pain to you. Like you'll be totally heartbroken, of course, because he's basically betraying everything that you believe that he was up to this point.
Yeah.
So I can totally understand how she would feel, and she was pregnant, which means that she could just give up and die. But no,
I don't believe that.
Just don't. No, it's not making any sense because they have all the technology.
Yeah.
That she gave birth in a safe environment. She was fine physically, and they also said the droids, the robots that delivered the child, said that she was super fine physically. So she just decided to die.
To die because that I completely agree. That is bullshit, and that's the whole following suit of the whole, the fate thing and the force leading us. That's bullshit. Okay, I don't believe it. It's I don't.
You can't just die because you want to without doing anything.
No,
you can't
absolutely.
just give up and die. At mostly, she's going to just
want to live and be pissed off. Right, exactly. Like I'd be pissed. I'd be like, you freaking try to choke me. That one that's and come on. I'd be mad, and then I would try to find a way to fix him, to get him, back, or if he had it my way, she would have joined him.
Oh no! That will never happen.
Sorry.
What is that evil laugh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just my true inclinations is coming out. No, I'm just kidding. I love the Sith so much. I think it would make a far interesting story.
Although you're going to be dead in the first 2 seconds if you meet a Sith.
Oh God, yeah, that's the thing. It keeps you on your toes to be a Sith because you don't want to be killed. You always want to stay on top and be that master and keep and just know that they're coming after you and try to stay on top and try to always be the better.
Yeah, probably Senator Palpatine, the Emperor, is the only person that lived that long as he did because all of the rest are dead.
Yes, exactly. And even then, it was Vader still turned on the Emperor, looking at Father. She's getting shot. Help me! Fun. Here's Vader. Fuck it. Yeah, that's great. remember seeing that with Donnie, seeing that, and then talking about it with Donnie Zorbo in middle school. It's like, hey Sam, you ever see Return of the Jedi? And we started quoting the lines. It was like, yeah. He's like, looking. It's like, fuck it. And it just picks him up. It was awesome.
Yeah, I did like this, of course. Okay, Sammy, we have to wrap this up because we are an hour and it's midnight.
Yeah, absolutely. What are we gonna? When do we touch on? What are your expectations of the Force Awakens? During these last few minutes here, we never really talked about too much of that.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. I actually wanted to touch upon other things, but we can't go through every Star Wars movie. Although I really want to, because there are some interesting things that we have to. We could touch upon Jar Jar Binks and how even though I still like the prequels because I grew up with them instead of the other movies, I still don't appreciate Jar Jar Binks. It's ridiculous. He's so out of place. He's just
Mr. Jar Jar Binks, you just saved my life.
He's so ridiculous. The movie was kind of serious and all the time. I mean, throughout and. All of a sudden, you see Jar Jar Binks and everything is like,
And his stupid pratfalls. His pratfalls throughout in the first one. All the in the war at the end, and he just survives by stupidity.
Exactly, like Joxer. He's like Joxer.
Yeah, like Joxer, but honestly worse. Joxer's not in every he's in a lot of episodes, but he's worse. And Joxer was at least. Do you like Joxer at all? Or you find him a funny guy? You just don't like him.
I find him to be a very good character for Xena, although at the beginning I didn't like him at all. I was like, who the hell is that idiot? Come on, get out of there. And Gabrielle beat him like he was nothing in the first 5 minutes when she met him because he was an idiot. He thought he was a warrior. And I met those kind of guys, in real life, I met guys that are exactly like him. Imagine that. They think that they're cool. They know stuff, and they always lie about everything they did, and everybody knows that. It is so ridiculous, and even pretend to talk on the phone, ridiculous things. And you decide to call him. There's one time at school that one of those guys pretend to talk on the phone, and we call him on the phone because we knew that he didn't speak to anyone at that moment, and his phone rang in his ear. It was super funny because we totally proved that he didn't speak to anyone. And other stuff, I mean, making up things all the time and just being ridiculous, and I can grab him and beat him up
there you go, let it out.
And I did that.
And you did. This is fantastic.
I beat a lot of guys in school. No problem.
Very good. Hey, assholes like that deserve it.
Totally deserve it,
And I hate those I know exactly. I hate those type of guys too. I was always one that, because I'm a nerdy guy. I like role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, RPGs, and Star Wars, Star Trek. So, I wasn't really with those kind of crowd like that. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of type of people, so those type of people are just idiots that just pretend to be things that they're not.
Yes.
And say that they're doing things and they are going to do things that they just don't do and they can do, but they're just talking and talking and talking. Just like Joxer, I mean.
Just like Joxer?
Yeah, that's why I didn't like him, but then he became very important character through the series. So like everything in Xena, he had a purpose after all.
Yeah. That's great too. He progressed too. You notice his character change. He have a heart and everything, and I like that.
Yeah. He was real hero at heart after all.
Love it.
Where Jar Jar Binks is just a piece of trash walking, a piece of CGI trash walking around and speaking nonsense.
What Mr. Say? Better to be dead here than at the core. That's what Mr. Say. Oh, me so liking that. Use another thing can use a better than the guns. Me so liking, the big green. Me so liking that.
It's very hard for me to understand the word that he's saying.
Yeah, the big, I don't know what he is, but the head of the guns. Yeah.
Anyway, Sammy,
Yeah,
so what do you expect about the new movie? You can
I'm
go first.
expecting my expectations is really awesome lightsaber fight sequence, but more importantly, even overall kind of fight sequence because I know there's a girl in there that can fight too with like a staff thing. I'm hoping um, Kylo Ren does not die. Um, I'm expecting Kylo Ren to turn out to be Luke Skywalker. This is just my predictions, my kind of guess. Most likely, it's not going to be true. I'm
I don't think so.
expecting Princess Leia has the Force now too, and she's been training all these years and can fight. Maybe not necessarily not Han because he's not a Jedi, but she's is trained in the ways of the Jedi. Kind of like how Yoda was a surprise. Maybe Princess Leia will surprise us with her lightsaber skills. That's what I'm predicting. And just a lot of action and a lot more of a throwback to the original trilogy and not so much of the CGI, overly done CGI in the prequels, which, Phantom Menace, I didn't really like that one so much. I did like the pod racing. That was kind of fun, but Jake Lloyd was annoying. Now, this is pod racing. R2, get us off this autopilot before it gets us both killed. Shut up, you stupid kid, Jake Lloyd, you dumbass.
It's a kid. I mean, what do you want for him?
Bad actor. Oh, it's terrible. I don't like him. But, and I do like in the second one with the whole arena fight and all the Jedis coming out. That was cool. But when I'm talking about a throwback to the original, like to bring back that same level of emotion and heart that the original one did have. And that was what was kind of lacking in the prequels, I thought. The trilogy did a great job of showing a lot of heart with all the characters, in my personal opinion, and each one being very distinct, and the relationships and the camaraderies that formed, I thought was outstanding, and that's why I'm hoping for The Force Awakens. How about yourself?
Yeah, I agree that the original movies had hearts, although not everything made sense all the time, or sometimes. But yeah, just a second. I was thinking something very cool, but I forgot
Well, keep thinking. It's okay.
about it. Okay, so I wanted to say that I do like, now that I've seen every original movie, I do like those. Not that I don't, but I also can't stop liking the prequels. Although I know how they suck, I realize that now. I still like them because I just grew up with them and
I
I'm
still
used
like
to
them.
them.
Yeah.
I like the fun moments, and I see how the movie lacked character. Overall, the movies, the prequels, in some ways, I also got them actually. Although there are so many talk about politics, it was so heavy. And what I want from the new movie is, for Princess Leia to wield the Force in some shape or form. I just want that. And to be enough action, enough character development, enough heart, enough compelling story that makes sense, finally. Like somebody said, in JJ we trust, because I do appreciate him a lot more as a director than George Lucas, because I do love what he did with Star Trek. So I think that he will do that. So this is what I'm hoping, just to connect Star Wars, to make more sense, although not explaining everything. I mean, I heard that they are not explaining everything, which is kind of following like the old movies.
Right.
But at least to make somehow sense, because like when you're watching Xena, for instance.
Okay.
Some of the things, I mean, everything in Xena, even though some of the characters are not so much explained sometimes, like some, warlord or someone else, it's presented in a way that you immediately know everything that you need to know about this character, his past, the way that they act, you just know. And Star Wars always kind of lacked that, at least for me. So maybe not exactly, I don't need exactly a perfectly, explanation, because that is going to be boring.
Right.
But present the characters and the story in some way that it's going to make sense and we are going to get it without so much explanation, and not just wondering how, for instance, that meteor fell on the main character's head, for instance, just for no reason and something like this. I mean, nothing like this. I don't want anything like this. Just to make sense without explaining too much.
Gotcha. And yeah, and maybe even just do a slow reveal, because you notice, like with Xena, when there's a warlord, sometimes when they do come back, and especially like recurring characters like Callisto, you learn just a little bit more about that character. It expands on it. So hopefully they'll do that with the other two films. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do expand on the characters. They do develop them all the time because it's TV series. It's different also because in a TV series you can develop a character, and like Supergirl now is, we get to see every episode more of her. And Melissa Benoist, that plays Supergirl, she is also developing in that role amazingly well. The way that she acts, she does the same thing like in Xena, where you immediately know how she feels, why she feels this way, where is her train of thought coming from, and all that. With just a little bit of explanation, you just know everything, and just you can relate to her in every way.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm looking for. And when I saw, as I told you on the the messenger on Facebook, how she played that last episode, how she was emotional. Also the episode with Red Tornado, she just touched me. I was in tears. I just felt how she felt, and I was very emotional because I recently didn't see any TV show like this, when I see some emotions similar to what I saw in Xena. So I was very thrilled and happy to see this, and I was so emotional. It was very strange, but me and Pancho really loved it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, so, where we headed off next? Well, we're going to so-and-so. I hear they're in need of a girl with a chakram. Where you go, I'm by your side. And the tone that she said it, her voice, somehow I knew you'd say that. And it's like them together again. Look at this.
Yeah,
Okay,
goosebumps.
Goosebumps. It's like they're by each other's side, but she's just a ghost, just like how it always was since the beginning and when they became friends. Everyone needs a friend, right? Okay, friend. She called her friend finally, and they're walking through the sunset. It's the first episode of Xena. But yeah.
Yeah, because they're a lot more than friends. They're like soulmates, literally.
There you go. And I like that.
Yeah, so I'm super. I know that this is not anything to do with Star Wars, but I have to mention it because it's what I like to see in anything, in a movie, TV show, the emotion, the character development through their way of acting, how they're presenting it. And if you look at, Melissa Benoist again, she's like awkward, and she plays it so natural. Everything that she does with her, her face, her whole body language is just so natural, amazing. She's just amazing. That's what I'm going to say. She's born to play Supergirl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, so enough about Supergirl.
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to mention that to explain what's the difference for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Sammy, so do you want to say something, like last words about what we're going to see tomorrow? Are you excited?
Super excited. We got Star Wars there and my Blu-ray Complete Saga. You happen to have those on Blu-ray yourself or no? On DVD or Blu-ray? I know.
No need to ask me that, Sammy. I don't have anything except Avatar, like I said.
Oh, man.
On Blu-ray.
Oh, you just watch it all on the internet then, huh? Okay.
Yeah, this is way.
I gotcha. I understand. Okay.
I need more space for my training equipment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And more video games. I can't get enough of video games. I think you know that. Neither can you.
Oh yeah, no.
As they say, once a gamer, always a gamer.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so this was awesome, I think.
I think so too. This every time we get on a hangout, it always is better and better. This is like this one, and then the last one we did, the coffee talks, are like my absolute favorites. And the Jess Jones, those are three. That was just brilliant.
Oh yeah, Jessica Jones. Well, okay, Sammy, so tomorrow we're going to see Star Wars The Force Awakens, and of course I'm going to do a review as soon as possible. I will try to do it like in the same night, but I don't know how tired I'm going to be, so and the worst I'm going to do it on Saturday.
Okay.
So so still it's going to be after I see the movie, basically. Just a couple of some hours after I've seen it. I just like when I see a movie, on cinema. I just prefer to wait at least a day so I can process everything, so I can be sure of what I'm talking about in the review.
Yeah.
So maybe I won't do it right away. Also for this reason,
Gotcha.
so I can process it.
Okay. So I'm going to close this off, and thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Gary, for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you, Sammy.
And
thank
farewell.
you, and farewell, guys.